Hello, good evening, welcome back to Lorenzo's A Mission a Day with Kerbal Space Program. Today we're on day number 14 with mission 14. And as you may recall, we are headed to Vol, one of Jules' moons. The mission we are doing today is the Vostok 1 mission. This is a mission to put a manned capsule into a suborbital trajectory, and whoever wrote this mission might not know that the Vostok space capsule that carried Yuri Gagarin around the planet Earth actually went orbital. The first man in space was also the first man in orbit. The Americans, their first man in space was in fact suborbital, and there are some websites that snarkily put the first man on a suborbital trajectory as an American, implying that that came before the actual orbital trajectory of Yuri Gagarin, the Russian, which in fact it did not. In that point in the space race, the Russians were far ahead, and they put a man in orbit, whilst the Americans were struggling to put a man in space on a suborbital trajectory. So, that little history lesson aside, we are going to launch a mission to Vol, but we are piggybacking that on a suborbital trajectory mission, which is a lot less complicated. So we put our capsule with our Kerman in there. It is Bill Kerman in there. Now let's switch him out for Kearney Kerman. He is going in the lander can that is going to hitch a ride on these first and second stages, and then it has got a tiny little tank with two tiny engines that will allow him to somewhat maneuver back to safety. I put a heat shield on here. I hope I put it facing the right way up, and that is going to separate, and then this bit of the rocket is going to continue on to a Julian trajectory, if all goes well, that is. Right, as you can see in the mission controller here, this rocket cost 73,400 credits and I've got 74,800. So this mission had better go well, because if it doesn't, we are back at square one with no money, and we're going to have to start borrowing again, and we will certainly miss our launch window. Now I could use the flight testing mode again to see if this ship will work, and that might in fact be prudent, but we have missed our flight window. We are in the late stages of our launch window to Joule, so I'm reasoning there's no time, and this development on this spaceship has been rather rushed, so it's going to be launched like this. No guarantees, no promises. Here goes. If everything does end up to go smoothly, this will be fast forwarded. Otherwise, let's see what happens. Launch. This is not part of the plan. Let's see if we can try and maintain an upright posture. No! This aerospace mod doesn't allow for the violent pitch overs that many vanilla KSP players might be used to, where you just shoot up to 20 something kilometers and then turn your rocket around. This is of course not quite valuable in the real world, and this Ferrum Aerospace mod that I did install accurately slaps you on the fingers if you try this. So I am now very much in trouble. I'm trying to get the rocket back under control in an upright position by firing the rocket engines when it is in that position in its oscillation. We're still rising, we're still gaining altitude, so the mission isn't quite scrubbed yet, but we might have to scrub the Vol component, which would be rather annoying to have to scrub that again. Anyway, let's see if we can get out of the atmosphere. it should resolve itself. We are at least... Yeah, we do have electricity for our reaction wheel. At the very least, we should be able to get the man into space. Because if we're not getting even that, we're broke. If we manage to put the man into space, we at least get some money back. And that will allow us to launch something at any rate. So, put the rocket up. This is a disaster. We're wasting all the fuel cartwheeling in space. How this happened, I am not quite sure. I'm sure about how it happened, but why we're unable to stop it, I'm not sure about that. There should be more control authority in the reaction wheels. There should be something happening because of the rocket thrust. Oh, we're actually falling now. This is not good. We have not reached the 70 kilometers. So put the rockets and stay upright, you beast of a rocket. Stay upright. Stay here in your prograde vector. And I'm going to aim you upright ever so slowly. We are packing on speed quite rapidly. So I hope we will be able to climb out of this atmosphere for, even if it's just for a little bit, just to get Kearney Kerman up into space as was promised to him when he enlisted in the Space Academy. So another quite unsuccessful mission going down here. At least we have stopped falling and we are going fairly quickly again at 1.5 kilometers per second. Kearney the Kerman is now at least gaining altitude again, and hopefully these last drags of his rocket will allow him to keep doing so. Let's see if we have an apoapsis of more than 70 kilometers yet. Absolutely not. These tiny engines don't have the delta V to push all of this upwards. So we're going to have to either jettison the engine or scrub the mission. Well, it's too late now to do anything about it at any rate. Let's see. 63 kilometers. I hope that Kearney Kerman is going to be able to do that. Oh, we're not going to be able to do it anyway. It didn't bring the communitrons, the antennae. In that case, bye Kearney Kerman. We're going to switch crafts to this one and see if we can at least get orbit going on this probe. This is not quite how this mission was supposed to go. Another lesson learned through the Ferrum Aerospace mod. Be gentle on your pitchovers if you do them at all. You might just want to shoot up straight into space and then do it, although that costs you dearly in the Delta V department. But it might be smart to... it might be something to consider. We're going to put this into space. That is something we can do at any rate. And establish an orbit, and then we're going to switch back to that lander to deploy its parachutes and hopefully put it on the ground safely. I hope we can do that before it despawns, as if that happens, our lander will be lost, which obviously isn't the point. If this stage still manages to have enough Delta V to make it to Joule, I will be surprised. No matter how we make it though, there is going to be a massive budget deficit because we are not getting any money for this mission, no matter what we do at Joule. So hopefully we will be able to do something there that will inspire people to, well, fund this again, basically. Right, so this one is now at least in a somewhat stable orbit. It's not quite, but we will be able to get back there before anything too drastic happens. This means we can switch to Kearney the Kerman and at least supervise his landing. And there really is nothing we can do. No, there is no more thrust available in these tiny engines. He might have made space had we decoupled the dual probe, the Vol probe, but then that would have been lost. We can't fly two of them at once. This would have been a possibility if we could fly the probe and fire these engines at once, but the game doesn't let us do that, so we did not manage that. Right. At any rate, saving Kearney the Kerman is now of utmost importance, and that means we are going to have to angle the heat shield into the direction of travel. Now we have stability control here, so that should be possible. We're at least going to ask him for a crew report. A crew report, yeah, they've been here before, nothing new to report. This remnant of a decoupler is still over the heat shield, so I'm curious what will happen with that. Will it burn up, will it burn away, or will something else happen? At any rate, the heat shield is now starting to decay, and that is going to come off shortly. No, it's going to burn up shortly. I think the decoupler might go off. I'm just talking gibberish here. I think if we manage to land Kearney the Kerman here, I'm going to end this recording. It's about time I go to work and put the possible continuation of the probe to Vol for gaining science points and enlightenment, science and enlightenment from Vol. Put that in a separate video. They'll be uploaded right after one another, so no worries there. It's still going to be one mission, one day. And here we go. Oh, our parachutes are overheating. That's not good. If that keeps on going, at any rate, it's not good. If we have the stack decoupler is very hot. The lander can... the temperature is dropping already. This seems to have been a rather mellow re-entry, which it should be, as it was never even fully into space. We're still going fairly fast. We get the aerodynamic effects here, heading towards the surface at about 500 meters per second. And we're going to wait a bit before opening the parachutes. Now, all these things may seem very routine, but with this modified aerodynamics of the Ferrum Aerospace mod, I'm not quite sure what could end up happening. So we're going to not fast forward this and instead play it out. I'm going to deploy one set of parachutes, and then if that rips off, I have another one. So that seems like the smart thing to do. So I'm going to deploy that chute. Oh no! I'm not sure which button I pressed, but it appeared to have been the emergency egress button for Kearney the Kerman. This man is not happy. This is a most precarious situation. He is completely right. And I'm going to try... how can he survive this? He's falling without parachutes into the ocean because he didn't appreciate life inside the space capsule anymore, or I have no idea what it is that's going on. Can he survive a water landing? He cannot. Kearney Kerman was killed due to gross incompetence. The craft was deleted by the game because it was uncontrolled in the lower atmosphere. And we have our space probe here. So thus far, I want to control the space probe, please. No, I cannot. Thus far, no successes of any kind in this mission so far. I'm going to leave this video here to go to work and do real world stuff, and I will record the second bit about the Vol probe later. Thanks for watching, and see you guys next time. Click on the next video and you will continue right along. Goodbye.